U-PASS has a mission to assist all pilots in safety and standards. The following video is to help register drones and get an N number right the first time. But don't worry, if it's done wrong, the FAA will send back the registration and allow pilots to fix the documents and resubmit, sometimes, again and again. This video will provide step-by-steps to do it right the first time, so the N number registration does not delay the 44807 filing. Let's determine what type of registration a drone will require. If the drone is under 55 pounds, then it can be registered through the FAA Drone Zone online registration with just its serial number. If the drone is over 55 pounds, then it must have an N number or a tail number. In this video, we will take pilots step by step. However, every form and letter in this video can be downloaded from the U-PASS site. On the front page, partway down, labeled 137 Regulatory Compliance. So let's get started with the over 55-pound N number registration. We recommend to first reserve an N number online at aircraft.faa.gov. The link is available on U-PASS. The form is self-explanatory and easy to use to find available N numbers, and it requires a $10 for up to 10 drones fee. This is incredibly helpful if there are multiple drones being registered or pilots are wanting specific fleet N numbers. A remittance ID number will be sent, which will be in green, after submitting the payment that confirms the reservation. If the N number doesn't matter, we will cover that next. While grabbing the FAA Drone Reserve link off U-PASS, go ahead and also download the 8050-1 form from right below the link. This form is 3 pages long. Page 1 has information to fill out the form. Page 2 is what we will review. And page 3 is used in case there are multiple owners that must be listed. Now let's go back to page 2. The following information must be filled out properly or it will be sent back. Be sure that all your bill of sales, invoices, or letters have the same business name or individual name and address as on this 8050-1. So let's tackle this form. Number 1, United States registration, and it has an N. If there is a reserved N number, this is where it will go. If there isn't a reserved N number, simply put next available. Number 2, aircraft manufacturer. This will be DJI, Hylio, or XAG. Number 3, aircraft model. If it's a DJI, choose what T model. If it's an XAG or a Hylio, designate what model it is. That information can usually be found on the invoice or bill of sale. Number 4, aircraft serial number. This can be found on the drone itself, or it's much easier to look on the sales information. Each distributor will list that specific drone serial number. Number 5, this is where the cross-reference begins. How this is answered will determine the paperwork needed. Of course, the easiest box to check is individual, but check the box that applies to your business setup. Number 6 continues to define the answer you gave in 5 and will be cross-referenced as you continue down the information. This is where whomever bought the drone and owns the drone on the drone purchase invoice will need to be the same information. 7, 8, 9, and 10 are simple fill in the contact and location information. Number 11, only check the box if you are reporting a change of address and use the new address in the number 9 and 10 boxes. Number 12, there are 4 options here. Most everyone will choose 1A, but if that is not your selection, read carefully option B, which refers to a resident alien, and Form 1-551 will need to accompany that option. Option C refers to a non-citizen company. And finally, option D refers to a corporation that the signer has authorization to sign in behalf of. If box options C or D are appropriate in the drone's ownership, then 2, 3, and 4 are additional conditions to this drone registration. Number 13. Read carefully what is being asked here. Name of the applicant must match all other documents, whether it's a corporation, LLC, or individual that has been listed. Next, date it, and then print the name of the signer and their title. This is where the third page is used. If there are multiple owners that need to be on the registration, now is the time to add them. Finally, print the document and sign all appropriate signature boxes. Make a copy but send in the original with signatures. If a single entity is signing, the FAA does accept digital signatures. Each drone that is being registered will need this form filled out individually because from number 1, it is unique to that N number. Be sure you save each document, print, and sign all necessary signature boxes. The next form required is the letter of Affidavit of Ownership. Again, a copy of this letter can be downloaded from upass.foundation. This is a 2-page document that will need to be filled out and notarized. So let's get to it. Some of the information here will be duplicated from the 8050-1, but asks more detail about the drone and how the drone was acquired. If that information is not on the bill of sale or invoice, it is easily retrieved on the drone specs found on the internet. First, it's asking for the N number is simply that. What is the N number of the drone, and circle the class type below the N number. If you download the form from U-PASS, rotorcraft is already checked. Manufacturer or builder is back to the question of DJI or XAG or Hylio, and what the model is of that manufacturer. Serial number with the note to use remote ID number. What that means is the FAA would like the remote ID for the drone. For DJI, that is the 20-digit code that begins with 158F. Next, the maximum weight takeoff. This probably will not be on the invoice or bill of sale, but on the specs of the drone. Next, it asks for the engine type and how many engines the drone has. So simply count the arms where the engines are located on the drone. The next part is asking how the drone was acquired. Number 1 is if it was purchased from a dealer. If the drone was purchased, new or refurbished, select this option and fill in the date, dealer name, and the city, state, and country information. Then include the invoice. Number 2. If the drone was built by purchasing a kit, then provide the kit bill of sale from the manufacturer. Number 3. If the drone was built with miscellaneous parts, this is the option to choose. This one will be the most difficult to provide information to the FAA to ensure its worthiness. So try to avoid this answer if at all possible. Number 4. The drone was purchased as used and the bill of sale is signed by the seller and enclosed. This can also be downloaded from U-PASS labeled AC Form 8050-2. Number 5 is a situation whereby the drone was purchased from a seller but don't have a bill of sale. The FAA wants to know why. Finally, on page 2, add owner's name, signature, and title information. And lastly, have it notarized. Be sure to make copies of each form with the notarization. One last form to complete, depending on if the drone is owned by a corporation or LLC, there is one final letter to include in your registration. If the drone is owned by a LLC, go back to U-PASS and download the statement and support letter and fill out according to your LLC setup. If the drone is owned by a corporation, download the Articles of Incorporation statement and fill out the ownership information and add that form to the rest of the forms listed below. If the drone is owned by an individual, then all that is left is to take the copies of the 8050-1, the original revised affidavit that has been notarized, a copy of the bill of sale or invoice, and a $5 check per drone made out to FAA Aircraft Registration Branch. Send via USPS to FAA Aircraft Registration Branch, P.O. Box 25504, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73125-0504. And now comes the waiting. This is the hard part, the waiting. It is very difficult to get a timeline from the FAA for the processing of an N number. Our suggestion is to follow this video so that the registration has been submitted correctly and will ultimately take the shortest amount of time. Hopefully, this video has helped eliminate small mistakes so that the process will go as fast as possible. Lastly, stay informed, stay safe, and fly right.